খাবে যদি মন, তালের রস খাবে যদি মন, তালের রসে যাবি মেতে, তালের রসে যাবি মেতে।
I think my earliest recollections of music is when we used to live in Turkey and my mum used to dance around and sing these songs. My dad would come in from work and he used to look like a Bollywood film. You know, he'd start joining singing the songs that my mum would sing, and then my mum would get really annoyed because he was always singing off key. So she'd stop. So yeah, so I kind of had a inflection of stuff in tune and out of tune.
I used to get chased every day from home to school, school to home, by skinheads, punks and so on and so on.
You know, it was a fashionable thing to be in the NF, and like, you know, you'd always have like the young Nazis selling their bulldog fanzines outside the school gates.
So I found that quite difficult at the time, and obviously I think my sort of early involvement in trying to concentrate on something that would keep my mind sane and keep my heart content, or at least partly safe from the harm that was going on outside, was music itself. People could relate to what was going on, and that I think was a key issue, was the fact that their environments were obviously ghetto and we were also in ghettos, and it's similarities in experiences. A lot of people, especially the Bengali youth, were losing faith in their own culture, and we wanted to let them know, hang on, there is something to be proud of your culture here. This is the history behind it all.
We set up an organisation which combined both sort of like, community activists and young people in the area where we sort of like were, which was Tower Hamlets, and we publicised and promoted Bengali culture, within any form whatsoever. It's just a sense of pride. You can be proud, basically, of your heritage, and you can be proud of your music and your culture, and there's no need to walk down with your head, held low, when it should be very high.
How do you get 5-year-olds interested in, Rabindranath Tagore's poetry stuff, musical stuff for a modern age? How would you go back to the times when your parents used to use song and stuff to communicate poetry, and that's not really happening very much now. State of Bengal is an attitude, really, and the attitude is, look, we're all in this planet only for a minuscule time, and the thing is, you either have been, you have to ask yourself why you're here, and if you're here, what's your reason for here? And so I'm trying to communicate musically through the senses, not on any other level. I've DJed for a long time, especially really promoting kind of community organisations, community education organisations, where we're trying to do a lot of fundraising for local youth clubs, empowering youth clubs to kind of not only have their own decks and PA systems, but also to have their own studios and stuff like that, so that you've got, a community of people who can actually, have a space where they can produce what they want to produce. Important thing, always be humble with your stuff, because life is like that.
When I became about 16, 17, by then I'd been collecting a lot of Indian records from Southall, from East London.
B to the D to the N to the G to the A to the L. B to the D, B to the D, B to the D.
And there was a couple of record shops that were sort of catering in Asian music, not just Bengali, but on the greater front, the Hindi films, the classical films, and the Punjabi, Bhangra stuff. And then got into DJing, just using 2 old turntables without any pitch control, so you have to be really good with your fingers to push them or slow them down. I suppose they're more like an instrument to me now because of the way you sort of, use them. You use them to mould 2 sounds. A lot of people say to me, what is that track you're playing right now? And they're a bit shocked when they see 2 pieces of vinyl spinning at the same time, and I stop one and I say, what's going on? And I say, well, you've just been listening to a mix, And that's what it's really about, creating something where they don't know. It's about being real about what you are and where you live. Okay, I'm Asian, I live in Britain, I live in the UK. And that's really what it's about, and I'm not British as such. But then again, I'm not totally Bengali as such. I am, as they say, in the realms of the two.
Your attention please. Your attention please. Your attention please. Indian Airlines announces the departure of their flight IC 408 to Calcutta. Passengers are requested to proceed to the aircraft.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Indian Airlines and Captain Das Gupta, we welcome you on board our flight IC 408. We are about to take off for Calcutta. Will you kindly fasten your seat belts, keep your seats upright and refrain from smoking while the no smoking sign is switched on. We hope you enjoy your flight.
Yeah, first one, visual audio, was really a concept that I'd kind of started at university when I was finishing my art degree. And the idea was kind of looking at picture frames and how to, instead of kind of have them on a 2-dimensional kind of structure, how to create an element of 3-dimensional movement on a 2-dimensional structure. And then I took that idea and applied that to music. And I said, okay, you've got a picture frame that you start with. And if it's an audio picture frame, then how do you tell a story where it's 2-dimensional at the beginning and it's 3-dimensional by the end of it? And then I went on to do, I guess, the Anokha album, Walking On, which is one of my dreams from the age of 9, I guess. Now I've just finished up on this album, which is looking at Bengali music and looking at Bengali folk rhythms and stuff. We're not sure what it's called yet, but I think it might be called Tana Tani, which is pushing and pulling. And also probably about 60 projects which I can't name because none of them have even been finished yet.
Here they are, the main event, State of Bengal with Rose and Next Man. Tell us a little bit more about skippage.
Basically, skippage is an experiment on rhythm and kind of looking at different rhythm timings and sensibilities that I've at least not experienced on a 4/4 club scene in 20 years. So for me, it's a departure from where I've kind of done experimentation before.
We kind of ended up in London, myself and part of another unit called Lal, and last minute called Sam to stay at his house. And then we just ended up doing a bunch of songs, and they somehow made the records.
The entire album was recorded in the living room called Bengal Studios in my house.
What was the inspiration for this album?
Skippage translates from skipping age, skip age, skip age. So it's basically music that is not defined by any age.
The whole idea of artistic ability and artistic development is that you change it for the time. Do you know what I mean? That you do move it with the time, that you move it forward, you move it ahead of time. And that's what experimentation is. It ain't about being morose and keeping it the same for like 200 years. That's bollocks.